was on my way home from work last night and I got a news flash on my phone that the Notre Dame Building in Paris has gone up in flames. And news broke this morning that they managed to save substantial chunks of the building, but quite a lot of it has been damaged or, destroyed completely by the fire. And this is a complete tragedy, a complete travesty for anybody who's interested in history or religion or architecture. 850 years old that building is. That's 850 years of history up in flames, up in smoke. Complete tragedy. But I want to talk about what's interesting in this case, or what could transpire to be interesting in this story. Because at the moment they're treating the fire like it was an accident, not arson. But if it transpires that this was arson, or even that it was an accident caused by negligence on someone's part, because there was restoration works being carried out at the time of the fire, it'd be interesting to see if the people responsible are prosecuted. Because if it is arson, and the person responsible for the arson is working class, or if it was the case of negligence on the part of a worker, of a construction worker, I'm willing to lay money, I'm willing to lay all my wages on that person, that individual or individuals, being held accountable for their actions to the fullest extent of French law. Because the French aren't completely unlike us in many respects. Obviously, we have our differences with the French, because they're France, we're Britain, we have different cultures, different countries, different principles and stuff, different laws. But they're not completely unlike us when it comes to this attitude over rich and poor. But I guarantee, if the person responsible, if there is anyone responsible, if they're poor, if they're working class, they will be held completely accountable for their actions to the maximum extent of the law. Quite rightly so, arguably. But if the person responsible is upper class or upper middle class, if it's because of a decision that was made by someone in a council, or someone on a board somewhere, or someone who sits in an office, that person will not be held accountable for their actions, at least for 20 years. Point in case, Grenfell Tower. Grenfell Tower went up in smoke 2 years ago, almost. Nobody so far has been held accountable. We have not seen one person in cuffs, one person taken to a police station and told to answer questions. Despite the fact that experts have determined that cladding that was put on the outside of the building, which residents protested against, was the equivalent of pouring 30,000 litres of petrol down the side of the building. Not one person responsible for the implementation of that cladding has been arrested, made to answer questions, or hauled in front of a court, or anything. People who scammed money that was meant to go to the survivors of Grenfell Tower, they have been held accountable, quite rightly so. But it seems to be that if you scam money from people who are trying to give money to people who survived the fire, you'll be arrested, held accountable, put through due process, and thrown in jail. But if you are responsible for manufacturing that fire in the first place, if you are responsible for ignoring residents' warnings that this cladding is not fireproof, it's not fire retardant, and that if there's a fire, it will be a complete travesty, it will be a complete and utter catastrophe. If you're responsible for making those decisions, you will not be held accountable. Another case in point, Hillsborough. 96 people lost their lives because of poor police conduct. And yet we are only now seeing top-level police chiefs and top-level former police staff answering questions, being held accountable and prosecuted. Only now, this is nearly 30 years after the actual event. So how long before we see justice for Grenfell? How long, if this is a case of negligence on a corporate scale, or negligence on the scale of a corporation or a business or a government, when will we see justice? Because if this is down to a working class citizen, maybe flicking a fag butt or leaving something plugged in, if this is down to them, they will be held accountable. I guarantee it. I would lay all of my wages on it. They will be held accountable to the fullest extent possible, because it seems to be that the only people that are able to be held accountable in British society and possibly French society is working class people. If you're rich, you can get away with what you like. That truly highlights the attitudes between rich and poor. One rule for us, another for them. One rule for them, another for anybody else. And arguably, money comes into it as well, because there was no money apparently to fit Grenfell Tower with fireproof cladding, with sprinklers, with all these kind of basic, simple measures to prevent a catastrophic fire, a complete travesty of a fire. There was no money for that. But we've got money, it would seem, to spend on Shamima Begum having legal aid. We've got money to fix up Buckingham Palace. We've got money to raise MPs' wages. We've got money for MPs' expenses. We've got money for wars, to go and bomb Syria, go and bomb Libya and Iraq and Afghanistan. We've got money for all these things. Money to bribe the DUP so our government doesn't collapse. Money for all these things that this government and the governments of the past have spent all this money on. Money to set up staff and emergency services and people to deal with a no-deal Brexit, only to stand them down again, having wasted all that money anyway. Money for all of that. No money to make sure people have fireproof houses, which should be a basic right. So thanks for watching. That's just what I think will be interesting in the coming weeks on this story of the Notre Dame fire. I'll see you in the next video.